What's up, world? I'm Cameron McKinney, and this is Pop Culture Spotlight, a podcast about the movie The Amateur. Here's a quick synopsis. Charlie Heller, who works behind the scenes for the CIA, decides to join the field to seek revenge against those who killed his wife, Sarah. The film stars Rami Malek, Lawrence Fishburne, Katrina Balfe, John Bernthal, Michael Stuhlbarg, and Rachel Brosnahan. Standout performances. I don't know how it's taken me this long to realize Rami Malek has had a near identical career to his short-term 12 co-star Brie Larson, in that both won Oscars for early roles, Larson for Room and Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, and both have been questioned for their careers post-Oscar wins. I on record believe Malek has made better choices. I love his moment in Oppenheimer. It's one of my favorite scenes of that film, and he's part of another large ensemble in Amsterdam, a movie that I like that most people despise. I don't love him as a Bond villain in No Time to Die, and he's not great when paired with Denzel Washington in The Little Things. For both Rami Malek and Brie Larson, it's not whether or not they are good at acting. They are. The question is whether or not they are true movie stars. And with The Amateur, Malek answers that in a way. He proves he can be a compelling leading man. And like in Bohemian Rhapsody, he gives the best performance of the movie, which is hard to do as the lead character. Charlie Heller is a character who's not your typical action hero. He uses his brains to get the job done. The Amateur is a victory for Rami Malek in that you watch this movie and you can see that you can build a movie around this guy. Like, he can still be the leads of movies that aren't Bohemian Rhapsody, a movie set up for him to be the best thing about it. I don't think this movie is as equally set up for him to be the best thing in it, yet he still ends up being the best thing in the movie The Amateur. Moving forward, let's say in the next 10 years, we are going to find out if Rami Malek is a true movie star or just a really good character actor. Because before Bohemian Rhapsody, his career was a lot like what he did in Oppenheimer. I mean, he would show up in Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master and in Short Term 12 in these small supporting roles, but you were like, wow, this guy that they have here is really interesting. And then he got this mega showcase of Bohemian Rhapsody where he plays the best musician of all time, in my opinion, Freddie Mercury. So maybe this movie, The Amateur, doesn't answer the question of whether or not he's a movie star, but I think it does answer this. Rami Malek wants to be a movie star. I think that's what this movie shows you, that he wants to be the lead of this kind of movie, that he wants to be a leading man. With Oppenheimer, it kind of felt like Malek accepting his new position as just a scene stealer, but with The Amateur, it's a clear message that he is still chasing movie stardom. Rami Malek will next star in the movie Nuremberg with Russell Crowe, Leo Woodall, Michael Shannon, Richard E. Grant, Colin Hanks, and John Slattery. So I have only just now started to realize how good Lawrence Fishburne is as an actor. Over the last few months, I've seen School Days, King of New York, and Boys in the Hood. In those three movies, he's doing some of the best acting I've ever seen, and he's one of the only actors who can pull off what he does in The Amateur. In the film, he plays Hendo, the man who trains Charlie, and then is used against him. The idea is you never know what side this guy is on. The only thing interesting about the character is he's played by Lawrence Fishburne. He's been a very good actor for so long, and he's been doing really good work recently. I mean, I talked about how much I liked him on the movie Megalopolis a few months ago. Also in The Amateur is actress Katrina Balfe, who has given two of my favorite recent performances in Ford v Ferrari and in Belfast. She's become one of my favorites to see in movies, and I really enjoyed her in The Amateur as the character of Davies. And I don't want to give too much away, only to say that she's got a lot in common with Malek's Charlie. Her accent work work is super impressive. In the hands of a lesser performer, it would feel silly, let me tell you. Next, I have to talk about Jon Bernthal. The use of Jon Bernthal in The Amateur really lines up well with his early work in The Wolf of Wall Street, Sicario, and Wind River. He's not given a lot of screen time, but he brings an insane amount of energy to any role he takes. Bernthal in this movie is an aspirational figure to Charlie. He's a CIA agent who goes by the Bear. I hope that is an homage to the Hulu show he's a part of. I have heard some reviews of this movie call his presence in it a distraction, and I understand that because the universal commonality in almost every Jon Bernthal movie is there's not enough Jon Bernthal in it. And all audiences want is more Jon Bernthal. I mean, he's treated like he's a character actor that nobody knows, when in reality he is a super well-known figure. I know he's having a moment right now. The Accountant 2 with Ben Affleck is set to come out in the coming weeks, but the thing I'm really excited about is the fact that Bernthal is set to be one of the many cast members of Christopher Nolan's upcoming adaptation of The Odyssey. I have absolutely no idea how much screen time Jon Bernthal is going to get in that movie, but I really hope he gets a lot, and I hope he gets a lot of acclaim for whatever he does in that movie, because we are getting to a point with Bernthal where I want him to get an Oscar nomination. I thought he should have been nominated for his brilliant supporting performance in King Richard. Michael Stuhlbarg is an actor who I first noticed in Call Me By Your Name. It's on the list of my favorite performances of all time. It's beyond touching. I also think he's brilliant in Steve Jobs, The Post, and Bones and All. Weirdly, lately he's been playing villains with fun, crazy accents in the heist film The Instigators and now with The Amateur. Both performances feel like a tribute to Gary Oldman, who became best known for playing over-the-top villains in the 90s. Stuhlbarg's next films include After the Hunt with Julia Roberts, Andrew Garfield, and Ayo Edebiri from Luca Guadagnino. It's the third time Stuhlbarg has worked with the director, and he's set to have a role in the next movie from two-time Best Director winner Alejandro Iñárritu, and it's starring Tom Cruise. And finally, there's not a lot to talk about when it comes to Rachel Brosnahan in this movie, but now's an interesting point in her career. She's best known as the star of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Her best film role up until now, in my opinion, is in the movie The Courier alongside Benedict Cumberbatch. She's a name, but she's about to be bigger because this summer she plays Lois Lane in James Gunn's Superman. That is her ticket to movie stardom. If that movie goes well, she can be just as known for her work in movies as she is for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So as you can see, The Amateur really does have a stacked cast to go alongside Rami Malek, and I really do think that is the strength of this movie, is there are so many interesting people in it. And of the people I just talked about, the only person that's underused in the movie is Rachel Brosnahan, and there's a reason why. Her absence is pivotal to the plot of the movie. And I don't know how most people feel, but I think the cast fits in their roles flawlessly. Like, they're not distractions. I wasn't distracted by the fact that Jon Bernthal is in this movie. I wasn't distracted by Lawrence Fishburne. I really felt like this was Rami Malek's movie, and everyone else was just along for the ride. And my interest stems from the fact that it was going to be a leading vehicle for Rami Malek, because I really hadn't seen him lead a good movie since Bohemian Rhapsody. Again, The Little Things is a movie I have complicated feelings towards. I think it's an okay movie, but both Denzel Washington and Rami Malek, who have won Oscars in their own rights, are outacted by fellow Oscar winner Jared Leto. What I like about the movie The Amateur is it's both dumb and smart at the same time. Some things about the plot are well thought out. For instance, the connection between Malek's character and Balf's. That's one of the best things about this movie, is they build that connection, so by the time the two characters meet, you understand why they are on the same team, why they would join up together. And even after they meet, they start to build on commonalities. You're like, wow, this is really good plot building for the movie overall. You can tell that the filmmaker put time and effort and put thought into that relationship between those two characters. And then with other things, like the brilliance of the character Charlie, they are so vague about it. Like they don't even try to explain how at certain points in the movie he takes control of a swimming pool and a boat. There's just something fun about a movie that is at times putting in a lot of effort and at other times isn't. Movies that don't always make sense can be a lot of fun, and that's what I think The Amateur is. It is a fun movie to watch. The structure that it is built on is so simple. It's just a guy seeking revenge against some people who killed his wife. But it's just sometimes impossible to track how he even gets to the point where he can get revenge against those people. We're just supposed to believe that because he works for the CIA and he's super smart, that he's capable of doing everything that he's doing in the movie. And that the only thing that is holding Rami Malek's Charlie back is that he is not a stone cold killer. I am someone who is very big on structure when it comes to movies. Like I like movies that are super well thought out, that are perfect when it comes to the structures of them. Like I've talked about Oppenheimer on this podcast. I think it is one of the best structured movies of all time. How you get from point A to point B is just fully thought out by the filmmaker. He had a plan. There's an intention behind every scene that Christopher Nolan gives us in Oppenheimer, and you don't get that in The Amateur, and I'm kind of okay with it. I am forgiving about action movies like The Amateur because I think they need to exist. I mean, they harken back to the 90s when movies were more simple, where they were just more of a distraction. I mean, you don't need to be thinking every minute you're watching the movie The Amateur. There are a few scenes where you could look away and you can still fully understand what is going on. And even if you do fully pay attention to the movie, it's not always going to make sense because the logistics of it are crazy bonkers. And this is what movies like The Amateur comes down to, the commitment level of the actors involved. And I believe every actor in this movie is fully committed. Like I said earlier, I believe that Rami Malek is using this movie as a case study to see if he can be this kind of leading man. They're already talking about possibly making sequels to this movie. This is the kind of movie he wants to be the lead of. He is fully going for it, and again, I think he gives the best performance of the movie. I mentioned Gary Oldman earlier when I was talking about Michael Stuhlbarg's performance in this movie. Why a movie like The Professional was successful is because of Gary Oldman's commitment to that movie. If that over-the-top performance isn't effective, that entire movie falls apart. I believe the movie The Amateur would fall apart if it weren't for Katrina Balfe's portrayal of Davies. Like, if that character doesn't work for me, then I would think this movie was really bad. And maybe the character doesn't work for you. Like, I understand if you watch this movie and you think it's completely silly and ridiculous. I'm not fighting against that. I'm just telling you that I think it is a good movie. I think it's a well-acted movie. I like the look of the movie. It's the type of action movie I want to see. It's escapism at its best. And I do want to talk a little bit about its box office because it already has made its money back, which is a good sign for Rami Malek as a leading man, that people are interested in seeing him in a movie where he isn't playing Freddie Mercury. Like, Rami Malek is the biggest selling point of this movie. I mean, there's no other reason people would want to go and seek this movie out if it weren't for his name. I know the other names involved are big, but they're not the stars of the movie. I am fascinated to see if this becomes a franchise, and this is the kind of franchise I kind of am rooting for. Like, I don't want franchises that are already established IP. I want to see movie stars form from newer franchises. Like, back in the day, you had Matt Damon with the Bourne movies. Now, The Amateur is not as good as those films, but I would not hate the idea of Rami Malek playing this character at least 4 more times over the next 10 years. For Malek, he only had a few other options to go. I mean, he could either be the lead of this movie and its sequels, or be in a Star Wars movie, or be in a Marvel movie. I mean, it's kind of interesting that Ryan Gosling attempted to be an action hero as well when he did The Gray Man, and there was all those talks about that getting sequels, and now he's the lead of Sean Levy's next Star Wars film because that movie did not have success. What The The Amateur could possibly have going for it is the fact that it has done decent enough numbers at the box office, which could end up being the movie's saving grace when it comes to establishing itself as a franchise. I mean, the fact that they were able to get this cast together is a reason that movies like this should exist. Actors want to be in these kinds of movies. Big names like Jon Bernthal and Michael Stuhlbarg want to play smaller roles in these kinds of films. I know I'm talking a lot about Rami Malek on this podcast, but who else is there to talk about? He is the lead of this movie, and this feels like the beginning of a new stage of his career where he can be the lead of his own franchise. And I really do hope it all works out for him, because I want to see a sequel to The Amateur. I want to see him continue to play the character of Charlie Heller. In the long run, I'm also just interested to see if this changes anyone's perception on Rami Malek as an actor, because people really haven't been moved by what he's done post Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, they haven't been all that interested in the movies he's made. It's not like people were talking about his Bond villain the same way they were talking about Javier Bardem in Skyfall. He wasn't getting a lot of praise for that movie. And I know some have talked about how The Amateur is a return to him playing a nerd like he did in Mr. Robot, a really good television series, by the way. My final thoughts on Malek is I really believe there is a pathway for him to have it all, where he can be the lead of an action movie like The Amateur while still doing great character work in movies like Oppenheimer. I do sometimes have this thought that winning an Oscar early on in one's career is a bad thing because of what's happened with Malek and Larson, but then I look at what's happened recently with Adrian Brody, and now he's now beloved once again, and he's now a two-time Oscar winner. Maybe the future isn't so bad for both of those stars. I'm rooting for the best for Rami Malek and for Brie Larson. I know people are way down on Brie Larson because of all the Marvel stuff. I just feel like both of them are very good actors, and I want to see them work with really good filmmakers and make movies that a lot of people end up seeing. And if you have never seen them together in the movie Short Term 12, do yourself a favor and watch that movie immediately. It is one of my all-time favorites. My final thoughts on The Amateur is it is a star-studded spy movie that is lots of fun. The plotting is good at times and lazy during others, and it is never, and I mean it is never boring, because you have so many well-known faces doing really good acting work. If I had to compare The Amateur to anything, it's like watching a Jack Ryan film, because in all the Jack Ryan movies, whether it's Ben Affleck or Chris Pine or Harrison Ford, you have the leading man playing Jack Ryan, and then around him you have these great character actors and stars in their own right in the late great James Earl Jones, Kevin Costner, and Morgan Freeman. And with all of those movies, you watch them and you go, wow, these are a lot of fun. They're not great. The logic in them is really off, but I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing here. Studio movies don't always have to make sense, and they don't always have to have a clear message. They can just be a revenge spy movie, and that's what The Amateur is. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not a great movie, but it is a fun movie that I really enjoyed watching, and I think you would too. It's a movie I was interested in talking about on this very podcast the minute I heard they were making this movie. I saw Rami Malek in a spy movie. That is something I have to see, and it did not disappoint whatsoever. It was exactly the kind of movie I thought it was going to be, and the kind of movie I wanted it to be. And I am rooting for its future box office success so I can get a sequel to this film that hopefully I can talk about on a future episode of this podcast. The Amateur is an adaptation of a 1981 novel that was adapted that same year, and that version of the movie has Christopher Plummer in it, and I now want to watch that movie immediately. I'm just just a big fan of spy movies. We need more spy movies. We need more movie stars like Rami Malek being in spy movies. They are just very entertaining. Thanks for listening to this edition of Pop Culture Spotlight. I'm Cameron McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Thursday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I highly recommend you check out The Amateur. Next week on the podcast, I'm talking about Ryan Coogler's Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan. So tune into that, and please rate, review, and subscribe.